broadcasting from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And what a day it has been. Sri Lanka has finally appointed its new cabinet of ministers and 40 state ministers, and they are all set to go. Not forgetting, of course, the appointment of the District Development Council chiefs, if you like. And whilst this is all happening, history sort of is being created along the way. And that is to do with, there's always been this notion that we mustn't appoint losing candidates through some other door because they lost and they want to bring them into parliament. But here we have an instance where the Jatika Jana Bala Vegya, or the National People's Party, have decided to leave alone those who lost having contested, and instead to appoint somebody on the national list, somebody who didn't contest and who didn't lose. And here we go. That person is right here, making her second appearance on Newsline Live, is Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. Welcome, good evening, and it's quite a record, isn't it?
Well, thank you.
How does that happen? How does the NPP come to a point? Why didn't they bring people like Vijita Herat or Sunil Handanetti or somebody like that?
Well,
nothing to say that you're not as good, but you know what I mean?
Vijita Herat is already in Parliament.
Right.
He comes in through the Gampaha district.
Ah, yes.
So the party decided right at the beginning that we will not be electing anyone who loses, that
Right.
we will not be appointing them through the national list. This was a decision we reached right at the beginning.
Right.
Then the procedure was that there's a leadership council
Right.
of the NPP,
Right.
and we met last Sunday, to discuss what we should do. At the meeting, most of us proposed former Minister Bimal Ratnayaka
Right.
to be sent in as the national list nominee, because we felt he was very experienced. He has a fantastic record in Parliament, and we felt with this Parliament that he would be the best choice. But then the JVP, of which he is a member, who is also part of the National People's Power, put forward this proposal that they felt that since we contested as the NPP,
Right.
and there are already two members who got in got into the Parliament directly, that the national list member should be a non-JVP.
I see.
And sort of recognize the fact that we are an alliance of all
Right.
these organizations. So their first proposal was that it should be a non-JVP person,
Right.
really representing the NPP, and secondly, they wanted a woman.
Right.
And then they asked me whether I would be willing to be that person.
The rest is almost history. Are you looking forward to going to Parliament and taking your seat there?
Yes, I am
How much
looking
of a
forward.
reality is that from what you perhaps dreamt of, or did you ever want that,
No, I mean,
or were you comfortable just being with the crew, with the team, and making your
my
representation?
ambition has never been to be in Parliament. I
Right.
never believed that, and I continue to believe that one's political role isn't confined to being in these kinds of elected bodies,
Right.
that you can be a political activist in many spheres. So
Right.
was never ambitious. My ambition was never to be in Parliament or any other elected body. But having agreed to have my name on the national list, and when the group that I represented, the party that I represent, the NPP, asked me whether they can nominate me, I agreed, because I felt, I mean, given the reasons that they put forward, and also having agreed to be on the national list, I can't then sort of chicken out and say,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
But have you been watching some clips from Parliament?
Oh, yeah.
So does it put you off when you saw chairs being broken, chili powder being thrown?
Absolutely. Absolutely, but then again, the whole point of us getting together as the NPP was to campaign for a different kind of politics, a different kind of political culture.
How are we going to achieve that when the
yes.
person who threw chili powder is in Parliament appointed again?
Well, the people have decided to send him as well, right? So we can't do anything about that.
So the people have forgiven him?
Apparently the people have forgiven him, so we will have to deal with him and hope that he will not bring chili to Parliament in the next 5 years.
I personally think the security chief needs to be sacked for allowing it to come into the chamber, but that's something else. Now then, how does a new MP from a small party,
Yes.
what kind of role do you envisage for yourselves in a parliament where the government of the day has a 2/3 majority and the so-called opposition, well, it's not fractured, it may be fractured, but they've got 54 seats.
Yeah. To be honest, I think our policy right now is that we are going to wait and see for a while, right? We are just 3 people in Parliament. I am completely new to all of this, so I will need to learn very quickly what my role is to be and how I am to perform. But then both my colleagues, Vijita Herat and Andhra Kumara, are very experienced. Andhra Kumara, as you know, was one of the highest ranking MPs in Parliament, and so was Vijita. So, I mean, I have 2 great role models to learn from. Our plan is that we wait, we watch, we observe, we intervene strongly where necessary. We will continue to campaign for the issues that we believe in and that we fought for. And for us, this is also then a platform from which to engage with people outside Parliament. Right? I mean, this gives us legitimacy, it gives us platform. And I think we also play an important symbolic value in how we conduct ourselves in Parliament. The kinds of issues we raise, how we conduct ourselves inside and outside Parliament. And from the responses that we've been getting on social media, on the news, from various people calling us ever since our list was finalized, it's evident that people expect that of us. Expect us to be a kind of different voice.
Do you not find that rather ironic?
I do find it extremely ironic.
Because on the one side, the very people have given 2/3 to one party or one alliance. And, you know, I won't mention any names, but I just want to read a sort of a message that's doing its rounds. It says here that 14 members of this government have got various sort of allegations or cases against them. One was on trial apparently for embezzling 33 million rupees of public funds. Another was charged in 1999 of murdering a citizen. Another was on trial for charges of corruption and misuse of public funds. Another one for illegal enrichment. Another one for embezzling 21 million from some business person. And, you know, the list goes on, 14. And, you know, embezzlement of from sort of 300,000 upwards. And these are 14 people. I know that some of these things have been settled in court and so on and so forth, and this is not precisely the right thing. It's obviously, but the point is that there's some truth in this whole thing. So how does one decide, how does one cope with all these surrounded there? Are you going to be dressed in some body armor?
No, well, it's extremely ironic, right? And here we are, we came forward with a group of people without a single charge, such charge, and we only get 3 people into Parliament, right? And yet, the sort of expectations that people have are that these 3 people will somehow make some significant difference, right? So we're going to do our best, right? This is what the people have decided. That is what democracy is about. People get to choose, right? And the people have chosen. But we also feel, at least I mean, I've been just really kind of overwhelmed in the last few days by what people have been telling us, right?
Yes, but it is these very people who've gone and voted
Exactly.
elsewhere.
I mean, in fact, I've been very tempted to ask them, did you actually vote for us?
Yeah.
Because if you had, we might have had a few more in Parliament. It would have made our lives a little easier.
Yeah.
But now, so, you know.
And might have been made your mind, the person saying it, a little bit more satisfied.
A little bit more satisfied. But this is how things are. This is the card we have been dealt. We have been given a task to do. Clearly there are huge expectations of us as well. And we are determined to do that to the best of our ability. That's all I can say.
And how do you feel that this parliament convenes in the middle of a global pandemic? The global economy is gone down several notches, not only in tiny Sri Lanka, but all over the world. It's gone down several notches. So it's sort of, we'll have to realign ourselves. Instead of the economy being there, it's now going to be here. And in between all this and our own particular challenges, significant challenges in terms of the of our economy, the tourism sector, every sector really, the construction, the whole lot. In between all this, we are almost certain to receive representations from the international community calling us to be accountable, to meet our international obligations, to pursue reconciliation, accountability, and all that. How are you going to cope with this, all of this, from a national perspective?
Yeah, I mean, this is the challenge that this government is going to face, and going to face very soon, right? I mean, I think dealing with the economy is going to be critical. There's going to be it's not going to be easy. I don't envy the government at all, right? I mean, with the challenges before them are huge. Any government would be challenged, and this government in particular will be challenged, because I don't think that they have the people or the vision to get us out of the kind of crisis that we are facing. I hope I'm wrong for the sake of the country. I really hope I'm wrong, because the people have placed a lot of faith in them. The people have given them a huge mandate, and that mandate is to meet to fulfill the aspirations of the people in a tremendously challenging environment. I wish them well, because for the sake of the country, I really hope that they will be able to deliver.
It appears that Sri Lanka's people have voted in a very mature way, and that they will not hesitate to exercise the same sort of power in 5 years' time if they don't get the results that they've voted for. On that note, we'll go for a short break and we'll come back. Don't go away. After all, this is Newsline Live, and we are in conversation with Dr. Harini Amarasuriya.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. We're in conversation with Dr. Harini Amarasuriya from the NPP, or the JJB, which is one and the same thing, the National People's Power, or the Jatika Jana Balavege. Now then, many expectations and so on. Parliament's got 2/3. We can expect an increase in demands from the international community. But if we turn to education, because that may well be where our future lies. How confident are you in placing the the education requirements of this nation in the hands of Professor G.L. Pires?
Well, I'm not unhappy about it.
Right.
Right? I think it's a good move that for all the educational institutions come under one ministry now.
Yes.
Right? I think that's a good move.
Well, that's a good move.
That's a good move. Professor G.L. Piris was a vice chancellor of a university. He knows, he knows at least the higher education sector intimately. He's been an academic, and I really hope that he will fulfill his mandate.
And he's from a government with 2/3 majority.
Yeah, and he's with a government with the 2/3 majority.
He's got no excuses.
He's got no excuses, absolutely no excuses.
Right.
Right? And he's got all the relevant institutions under his purview. So this is his moment. This is his moment.
He needs to seize it because
He needs to seize it.
because of the way the system is designed in this parliament, with all these ministers having their own budgets, allocations, and so on, it'd be very difficult for people to pass the buck.
Yeah.
And if you fail, you fail.
I mean, they have absolutely no excuse this time. They asked for the mandate. They wanted a stable government. They've got it.
Right.
Right? He's got a ministry that seems to be quite logically organized.
Yeah.
Right? He has absolutely no excuse. Right? He needs to deliver now. And education is, as you very rightly pointed out, one of the most important sectors in our country right now, and one that is in deep crisis.
Absolutely.
Right? And nothing less than a real radical restructuring of our education system, right from school up to higher education, is going to fix it.
That's
and
right.
I really hope that he will be able, that he has the capacity and the leadership and the vision to deliver on this. And if he does so, as the NPP, we are happy to support that.
We can treat him as a national treasure then.
We will treat him as a national treasure.
62% of our country's workforce is unskilled. 38% is skilled. 330 to 360,000 enter the education system every year. And when it comes to university, there's 30,000 spaces. Vocational training is 114,000. So there's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work.
Professor G.L. Piris had better take control of his office soon and start.
I would strongly recommend that he start by looking at the education policy that we put forward.
Right.
I think it's pretty comprehensive. I think it's a really good one that's based on a lot of work that we put into actually looking at the system and also consulting with people of this country. So I hope he will be non-partisan enough to be able to look at what others have said and take on board some of the recommendations that we have made.
Is your party's proposals for education, is there any political undercurrent there?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Our education policy was based on consultations with the people of this country and developed by people, experts in the field.
Right.
Right? Educationists and people who are very experienced in the education sector. There was absolutely no no sense that this was kind of like slanting towards a particular political project.
Yeah.
This we did very genuinely with an understanding of the needs of the country and what is best for our country. So I would really encourage Professor Piris to take a look at that proposal and to talk to us about it.
I've got so many messages here. Some of them is not possible to sort of say out here, especially these questions about dining and so on. Now then, I know that you're keen on youth employment issues and child protection. Will you take one item, any item, and sort of try and champion that cause through this parliament?
Yeah, I would really like to champion the cause for reforming the law, the legislation on child protection,
Right.
because currently our laws are very outdated.
Does that include women, the abuse towards women in a marriage?
In a marriage?
Yes.
Yes. So I am the reform of the laws regarding child protection would refer to all children under the age of 18.
Right.
Right, and one of the main things that we need to do is to bring all the laws in line with that understanding that a child is anyone who's under the age of 18 years. Currently we have a multiplicity of laws in which certain laws don't take that into consideration. So certainly some of the personal laws contradict that notion of a definition of a child. So yes, I think all of those things would need to be considered. I would really love to champion that cause because it's an area I've worked on and badly in need of reform.
And what hopes do you have that this government, with its 2/3 majority, will actually not repeat some of the excesses of the previous administration, which finished in 2015?
All I can say is that the people have voted for them in the expectation that they have learned from their mistakes and that the people have really given them a tremendous mandate, right? And I sincerely, for the sake of this country and the people of this country, I sincerely hope that they've heard that and that they will respect that mandate and that they will get their act together and that they will deliver. That's all we want. At the end of the day, that's what all of us are trying to do. We may have our political differences, we may have our ideological differences, but at the end of the day, we are here to try and make this country better for our people.
I need to ask one controversial question
Sure.
at least.
Go.
All right, so here we go. Do you think that there's any chance that the results were rigged?
I think that every vote that was cast was counted. I think it's extremely difficult in our country with the way that the systems are set in place for votes that are cast not to be counted.
I see.
Right? So any vote that was casted, I believe that has been counted.
Thank you very much for that pretty straightforward answer. Not an answer that some people may have expected, but still, you know, it's been enjoyable talking to you. Thank you very much for popping in, and I do look forward to welcoming you on our network again as we traverse through this new journey that the people of Sri Lanka have placed upon all of us, on themselves. So thank you so much, Dr. Amarasuri, for being here. Now, tomorrow on Newsline, we've got that very vociferous Member of Parliament. He's now the Minister in charge of Water, and that is none other than Mr. Vasudeva Nanayakkara will be here tomorrow. And on Friday, we will have the new Minister of Justice, Mr. Ali Sabri. So don't miss this spot on Newsline Live. It begins soon after 8:30 and finishes just before 9 o'clock when the news starts. Thank you, Dr. Harini Amarasuri.
Thank you.
And that's the way it was on Newsline Live. Take care, have a wonderful evening ahead of you, and enjoy the dining experience too. And of course, God bless.